Hello everyone. So today I'll be presenting you a project about Airbnb exploratory data analysis. So in Airbnb, guest and host have used it to expand on traveling possibility and present a more unique, personalized way of experiencing the world travel. So you'll be using the data set, which is around 49,000 observation and with 16 column and conducting certain exploratory data analysis to get meaningful insight and discovering the key understanding about the data that will further help us to enhance customer experience. So here is the GitHub link to my project, and I have already set it on GitHub. And so, as I stated, problem in statement to our project is to gain meaningful insight that can be further used for security, business decision, understanding of customers, providers, and and getting meaningful insight to enhance all those experience. So, in order to do that, we'll be using certain kind of graphs, and we'll be implementing such graph using our Panda libraries, Panda and Seaborn. And so this is our Airbnb data set. So as I have stated that we have been given around 49,000 rows and which is in 16 columns. So the column constitutes of certain information such as ID, name of the place, host ID, host name, and neighborhood information, and the geographical information about the place and the type of room preferred by the customer, price paid by the customer per night, minimum nights that customer actually stayed on that particular residence, and so on. And this is the information about the reviews and availability of that resident throughout the year or the particular set of year when it is available, particular time of the year when it is available. So in order to do that, we describe our data to understand the distribution of the data in column. So will be here we have information about the mean, median, mode, and the percentile information. So it was about so we have checked about the null values. So I see that there is a huge number of null values here in the last review and reviews per month. So to handle these null values, we'll be um, doing that the reviews per month will be replaced by the mode of the reviews, and the last review information may not be handled, so we'll be dropping this column and all these the name and host name have very less number of null rows, so we'll be dropping all these rows. So here is how I have handled these null values. So let us move toward the exploratory data analysis. So here is the graph that shows about the information about the neighborhood group. As we see, Brooklyn and Manhattan is the places where customer prefer to stay a lot, and this Stateland, Iceland is where, and all if these places is where customer does not wish to stay. So again, we see about the neighborhood group. So this neighborhood information has been further classified in such groups. So this is again the enhanced information about the neighborhood. So as we can see, there are certain other places in the neighborhood, though among the five categories of neighborhood where customer prefer to stay the most. We'll be making another pie chart to understand the all these to understand all these peak and information about these peaks. So we'll be checking we'll be seeing the latitude information where if there is some behavior where customer you know unintentionally has preferred certain latitude. And yes, there is certain latitude information that we see that 40.6 to 40.8 is the place where customer prefer to stay the most. Moving further, we'll be checking same information in the longitude as well. So in the longitude, we see that there is also a behavior where customer actually prefer to stay in the longitude of -74 to -73.9. So um, combining both these data, there will be some kind of a square or rhombus shape a place where customer has actually preferred to stay. So the type of room that is preferred by the customer is a private room and entire home apartment, and customer does not wish to stay in a shared room. So the preferred accommodation that customer has used is entire home and apartment. Again, we'll see the price that most of the customer has paid or preferred to pay. So the price is something that customer prefer to pay is the minimum. Though the price range has been between more than 0 to 10,000 and plus, but the customer actually has most of the customer that uh, prefer to stay where the price is something below around 250. So there is certain information where based on price where customer has actually preferred to stay. Moving further, we see the minimum number of night that where customer has used these accommodations, hotels or these residents. So yes, the customer has actually stayed mostly stayed in an accommodation for about less than 20 days. Though there are customers where they have actually stayed at the place for more than 1200 days, and that could be understood by they might be having a construction project or certain type of long duration project where customer has used a hotel or residence for a longer time. So going further we see the distribution about the number of review given by the customer. So so this is the number of reviews, the places that got the number of reviews. So there are certain places where a customer has given the maximum number of reviews, and this actually correlates with the where the residents actually used to stay a longer time. So here we'll be checking about the availability of a hotel throughout the year. So I see most of the hotel that is hotel or residence is that is available for the customer is for a shorter time, just for a fragment of time in a year, and there is a really considerably very low number of hotels or residence that is available throughout the year. But yes, there is certain some hotels that are actually available for more than 300 days, and considerably a low number of hotel that is available throughout the year. So if there is a some hotel or residence that is available for more than 300 days, we can actually consider to be you know consider it as a yearly hotel because the hotel might be shut down for some time of period due to maintenance and certain activities. So now here we'll be checking about the outliers. And so latitude. So since we know most of the customer that actually stayed is between certain latitude. So there are certain latitude that is actually outlier where customer actually goes to stay for a very less customer actually go there to stay. So we'll consider all those as an outlier. So the business strategy that we'll be making would be in between between the latitude where customer actually stayed for the longer time. Similarly for the longitude. So here longitude we can also see a lot of outliers. So the price, as we have mentioned, that most of the customer that actually paid um, under $2,050, but there are customers who actually paid till $10,000. So since they are considerably less number, so they can be considered as outliers. So the minimum number of night, as we see, the most of the as we have discussed earlier, so less than 20 days is the customer. You know, most of the customer actually has preferred to stay for less than 20 days, but yes, there are customers who actually have stayed for more than 1,200 days. But we'll considering all those customers outlier where customer has actually preferred to stay you know more than 75% of the time. So the box plot uh, here is the number of reviews. So all these will be considered as outlier. So hosting list. So here is the available graph for the availability outlier. So here we'll be using the scatter plot to check a relation with the price. So so we see where customer has actually preferred to pay a larger amount is between the latitude of 40.7 to 40.8, and here is the place where we actually able to get few customer who has paid for about $10,000, and most of the customer that has actually stayed where is between 40.7 to 40.8. So this is the meaningful insight. And similarly in the longitude, so the customers that where they stay prefer to stay the most is 70 minus 74.0 to minus 73.9. And the room type that customer has preferred based on price is yes, entire home and apartment. And after that, uh, the second preference is a private room, and then the third preference is the shared room. Well, shared room may not be considered as a preference because it has very less number of they have got very less number of customers. Again, in the neighborhood group, so Manhattan and Brooklyn are the places where most of the customer has stayed and actually paid a lot of actually paid a considerable amount. You know, there is a very there are more customer where customer has paid more than $4,000, and on certain instance they have paid $10,000 as well. So number of reviews and versus price. So the customer who has actually given most review are those who has actually, so yes, the customer who has paid the most has actually given the most more number of reviews. So here are the correlation with the price that is available. So here we'll be getting more meaningful insight. So where customer has actually preferred to stay. So Manhattan is the preferred place. Brooklyn is the the second best for the customer, and so on. And the neighborhood. So the graph that was actually unclear to us above, where we were unable to identify those peaks, would be further identified here. So William Burr and Brentford study Wesson, Harms, Bushwick. So these are the places where we able to see the highest peak that was actually we were unable to exactly determine the places in those bunch of bar plots. So these are the actually places where customer has subcategorized the neighborhood and has preferred to stay. And similarly, the entire home apartment was preferred. So more than 50% of the business that we got is between uh, for the from the entire home apartment, and the second little less than 50% it was from the private room, and considerably low number from the shared room. So here we'll get another meaningful insight about the price that the customer has preferred to pay for the rooms. So the customer actually has preferred preference for the payment of the 100, this 150, 50, 60, and 200. So these are the most where customer has paid the most of the amount for their stay. So when it the neighborhood is compared with the price, so the most um, costly places for the neighborhood for the customer would be Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, and Staten Island. Though Staten Island in the previous graph where the you know customer does not prefer to stay, but it is the place where we got the fourth largest revenue from. So these are the graph. This is the graph that I have mentioned in the pie chart. So these are the peaks that is unclear here, but we were able to get a clear understanding of these peaks from the pie charts. So moving further, we get important insight that Manhattan, Brooklyns, Queens are the neighborhood where you know customer has preferred most to stay, and we got most of the booking. So Williamburg, Bedford, Harlem are the preferred neighborhood where most of the guests preferred. The neighborhood has been categorized in two columns. So this is the second information about the neighborhood where guest has preferred to stay. So geographically, this is the latitude and longitude. So where most of the booking happened, and the room cost that customer has actually preferred to pay is about between 100 to 50 to $150. So, and most of the booking that most of the time where customer has booked his residence was home and apartment. So this is the meaningful insight that where we can actually think about expanding or put more insight, you know, put more of our focus to increase the business of the for the Airbnb accommodations, um, and to improve customer experience and the company revenue. Thank you for your time. This will be all.